Welcome back to AAT Learning Hub. Last few videos we learned what blood is, what it is made of, and how the blood cells are formed. Today let's look at the medium through which this wonderful fluid flows through. Blood travels to every part of our body through channels or tubes called blood vessels. These vessels are classified into three main types: arteries, capillaries, and veins. But how do you know if a blood vessel is an artery, vein, or capillary? The location of the blood vessel, the size of the wall, the direction of blood flow, oxygen content of the blood, and presence of valves helps distinguish if a blood vessel is an artery, vein, or capillary. Let's look at the structure. Blood passes through a hollow passage called lumen, and the walls are called tunics. The tunics from the most interior layer to the outer are the tunica intima, the tunica media, and the tunica externa. This is easy to remember because intima, internal, media is middle. Arteries have thicker walls but smaller lumens, while veins have thin walls and a large lumen. Let's see what these tunics are. Tunica intima is made of endothelial layer and a subendothelial layer. This is because it helps to avoid friction when blood passes through. Next, the media is made of smooth muscle cells and elastic fibers to withstand the pressure. This muscle is regulated by the autonomic nervous system, which can initiate vasoconstriction, where the muscle contracts and the vessel narrows, or vasodilation, where the muscle relaxes and the vessel widens. This is important to regulate blood pressure. Then the externa, which is made of collagen fibers for protection and structural reinforcement. Arteries. Arteries transport blood away from the heart, usually at high pressure, to the tissues. So just like how the tree trunk branches and gets smaller, these arteries too branch out of the heart and become smaller and smaller. Remember A, arteries carry blood away from the heart. Arteries need to survive just like any other tissue, isn't it? So they have something called vasa vasorum, which are tinier vessels that supply the outer layer of blood vessels with nourishment. Veins are vessels that carry blood to the heart, so they increase in size as they approach the heart. Veins contain the same layers as arteries, but in different proportions. The smooth muscle and the elastic layer is much thinner in veins. Why? Because veins don't have to withstand high pressure. The lumen of the vein is much wider than that of an artery. Why? A larger lumen helps to ensure that blood returns to the heart at an adequate speed. Also, a large lumen reduces friction between the blood and the endothelium of the vein. Next, veins contain valves. Why? The valves prevent the backflow of blood, thereby helping to return blood to the heart. Capillaries are the tiniest vessels that connects your arteries to your veins. Let's look at these with little more details. First, the arterial system. There are four main types. 1. Large elastic or conducting arteries. These are the largest arteries found in the body and are closest to the heart. Their function is to conduct blood from the heart to the body, hence the name conducting arteries. Example is your aorta and pulmonary arteries. Second is medium muscular or distributing arteries. From the large elastic arteries, blood enters smaller distributing arteries. As the name says, they distribute the blood to subregions of the body. Next is arterioles. Arterioles are part of the microcirculation. They are structures with a diameter of less than 0.1 millimeter. Next is the metaarterioles. Arterioles that supply capillary beds are known as meta-arterioles. They have intermediate rings of smooth muscles known as precapillary sphincters. These sphincters are important in directing blood to the tissues that need it the most and reducing the flow to inactive tissues. Like for example, when you're running, skeletal muscle requires a lot more blood than it usually would. So in order to accommodate this, precapillary sphincters in skeletal muscles relax in order to increase blood flow. Capillaries. Capillaries are found in the capillary beds, which are a network of blood vessels that connect arterioles to the venules. The diameter of a capillary lumen ranges from 5 to 10 micrometers. The smallest are just barely wide enough for an erythrocyte to squeeze through. Flow through capillaries is often described as microcirculation. Capillaries consist of one layer of endothelium and its concordant basement membrane. They are specially adapted to provide a short diffusion distance for nutrients and gaseous exchange. The walls of the capillaries have pericytes wrapped around them. Pericytes are cells that are essential for the regulation of blood flow and maintenance of homeostasis. These capillaries are of three types: continuous, fenestrated, and sinusoidal. Continuous capillaries. These are the most common types of capillaries found in skin and muscles. They contain small gaps in between their endothelial cells that allow substances like gases, water, glucose, and hormones to pass through. The continuous capillaries in the brain is an exception, however. These capillaries are part of the blood-brain barrier, which help to protect your brain by only allowing the most essential nutrients to cross. Fenestrated capillaries. Fenestrated capillaries contain small pores in addition to small gaps in the walls that allow for exchange of larger molecules. Example, the small intestine, where nutrients are absorbed from food. The kidneys, where waste products are filtered out of the blood. Third is the sinusoidal capillaries. These are the rarest type of capillary. Sinusoid capillaries allow for exchange of large molecules, even cells. They're able to do this because they have many larger gaps in their capillary wall. The surrounding basement membrane is also incomplete with openings in many places. These types of capillaries are found in certain tissues, including those of your liver, spleen, and bone marrow. In your bone marrow, these capillaries allow newly produced blood cells to enter into the bloodstream and begin circulation. Next is the venous system. The venous system takes deoxygenated blood from the capillaries and delivers it to the heart. Exception is your pulmonary vein. Like the arterial system, the venous system is comprised of different vessel structures. So let's look at each of these as we move away from the capillaries. So first you have the postcapillary venules. A postcapillary venule receives blood from capillaries and empties into venules. The wall is an endothelial lining with associated pericytes and a diameter of 10 to 30 micrometers. This is very similar to the structure of capillaries, but postcapillary venules are more permeable, making them the preferred site of white blood cell migration. Next, you have the venules, which are continuous with the postcapillary venules. Many venules unite to form a vein. Venules have a diameter of up to 1 millimeter. They contain valves to restrict retrograde transport of blood. Veins. Veins are the major vessels of the venous system, and they are the final step in return of blood to the heart. Veins generally have a larger diameter and a thinner wall than the artery. The vessel wall contains more connective tissue with less elastic and muscle fibers, as they do not have to withstand high pressure. Small and medium veins have thin tunica intima and media. Large veins have diameters greater than 10 mm and have a thicker tunica intima. The media has circular smooth muscle, which is usually not prominent except for the superficial veins of the legs. Veins contains valves that prevent the backflow of blood. So now if you quickly look at this comparison chart, arteries and veins. Arteries conduct blood away from the heart while veins conduct towards the heart. Arteries are generally rounded in appearance while veins are irregular and often collapsed. Arteries have high pressure, veins have low pressure. Arteries are thick-walled, whereas veins are thin-walled. The oxygen concentration in arteries is higher in systemic arteries and lower in pulmonary arteries, while in veins it is lower in systemic veins and higher in pulmonary veins. Valves are not present in arteries, while in veins they are most commonly seen in the limbs and in veins inferior to the heart. So to sum up, the circulatory route begins in the heart. The arteries carry blood away from the heart and enters the arterioles. Arterioles then empty into the capillaries where the exchange takes place. The capillaries then empty into the venules into veins, and veins carry blood to the heart. The blood vessels move in two distinct circuits, the systemic circuit and the pulmonary circuit. This pulmonary circuit is a short loop where deoxygenated blood from the heart is taken to the lungs. The blood picks up oxygen from the lungs and oxygen-rich blood returns back to the heart. The systemic circuit carries oxygenated blood from the heart to all the parts of the body and then empties into the heart, losing oxygen and nutrients. Hope this video was helpful. Stay connected with AAT Learning Hub for more videos. Thank you and happy learning.